Hi, this is DEUS from detektorforum.de. This new XPDeus video is about the effects of the settings. Test object, as always, is the 2 Reichsmark coin from 1937. 8 grams of silver, diameter is 25 millimeters. On this occasion I'd like to say thank you to Adebar. Without him those tests wouldn't be possible. This is just to show you that the scale on the dowel is right. For all of the following tests, the coin was being set at a depth of 30 centimeters. The DEUS is in software version 3.2, and as a starting point I'm using Gmax Power Standard program. All of the parameters are on factory preset, except audio response I changed to 7, so you can hear the tones better. There was also no ground balance being done. It is still on the standard value of 90. Now, let's listen to the signal with those settings. As you can hear for yourself, the coin is not being detected with those settings. I start pumping the coil over the ground to get a ground effect reading. The ground must not contain any metal. Now I set the ground balance manually approximately to the measured ground effect value. After that, I'll sweep the detector over the ground and control the results. Now I do the fine-tuning. Some points more than the ground effect reading for more quiet detecting, and some points less for additional performance. Proper ground balancing guarantees performance in the ground. However, it makes the coil also more sensitive to concussion. Therefore, XP has come up with a solution with the release of version 3. Now you can reject especially that portion of the ground which is responsible for the sensitivity to concussion. This function is called the ground notch. Let's take a look at another important setting, the frequency, which I will set at 8 kHz for the next example. Now let's hear what we have achieved with our settings by now. Still no signal of the coin yet. Now I'm going to change the most important setting regarding depth, the silencer. In detail, I'll deactivate the silencer by setting it to -1. This means it has no more any effect. And there we have our signal. Now I'll activate the silencer and set it to the lowest level possible. You can hear very clearly the effect of the silencer. The signal is still audible, but it sounds a little more chopped. What happens if you use an alternative ground balancing method? For this next example I will use the tracking method. No complications here, so let's try out the pumping method. When pumping was successful, the DEUS automatically sets the correct value. Also, no problems here. In this next example I will show you how you do the ground balancing completely by audio. Therefore I'll increase sense to maximum first, and after that I set the ground balance to a very low value. Now I start pumping the coil over the ground. Because of this wrong, very low ground balance setting, each time the coil is lowered, the ground is being realized as a signal. I'm using this effect by increasing the ground balance values again until the ground noise disappears. This method enables you to do ground balancing the right way even if you only have the headphones. After that, please do not forget to reduce sense to a normal value again like me here. Otherwise the DEUS will be very noisy. Reactivity and silencer settings are very important, so I'm going to show you a few more examples. With reactivity 2 and silencer at -1 or 0, the coin was detectable each time. So let's take a look at reactivity 3. Silencer -1, which means off. As you can see, there's no reproducible signal with this setting. Reactivity 3 is fantastic on trashy sites. Unfortunately, on clean ground it costs you depth. Now let's hear the signal with reactivity 1 and silencer set at 0, which means minimum value possible. The tones get recognizable longer, but you have to sweep slower. Next example will be reactivity 0, which means lowest value possible, and silencer set at -1, which means off. Long tones again, but you have to sweep even slower than before. Next is the universal compromise, reactivity 2 and silencer -1. With this setting you have very nice tones and at the same time you can sweep very fast. Just to show you the effect, I'll increase silencer to level 2 again. The coin at this depth is barely audible, so I'm reducing silencer 1 point to level 1. Significantly better, but you can hear the silencer is still active. Now you're about to see a demonstration of the 4 kHz frequency. This frequency is barely used by anyone, but there's already a significant advantage on a coin-sized object. Reactivity at 2 and silencer at 0 again. If that ain't a diggable signal, I don't know what is. For the end, I have 2 examples of the new 28 cm coil for you. First one, frequency 8 kHz, reactivity 2, silencer 0. Not much room for improvement here. Now the same settings as before, but with 4 kHz. Impressive, ain't it? That's all for today, thanks for watching. If there are still any questions, feel free to visit us at www.detectorforum.de.